Hello, and welcome to a new reading vlog. So for this vlog, I decided, since it's winter in Australia, to do a winter themed book reading vlog. I'm going to start with giving some recommendations of books I have read and that have those winter vibes that I think are actually worth a read. So let's get onto those. I'm going to start with probably one of my favorite book series, which is the Winter Night trilogy. So it's in the name. And this starts with The Bear and the Nightingale. My God, I cannot talk today, by Catherine Arden. So this is based on Russian folklore. You've got Vasilisa and the god of winter / death. And I don't want to talk too much about the plot, but they kind of strike a bargain, and it is just the most delicious slow burn romance, but there's a lot going on. The setting is lush. It is definitely giving winter vibes. Like, I was chilled to the bone reading this. I could feel the winter seeping into my skin, and I love it. I love it. I think, like I said, it's very rare for each book in a series to get at least 4 stars. But this did it for me. Vasya and Morozko are some of my all-time favorite couples. Just adore them, and I would highly recommend this series. Then we have Winter Song by S.J. Jones, and they literally start off by saying that this is a dark and romanticy that is very reminiscent of Labyrinth, the movie with the best goblin prince of all time, and The Cruel Prince. And I think that that's quite apt. I'm a sucker for books with the Goblin Kings and deals with them, and beautiful maidens who are feisty but end up falling for the Goblin Kings. So this is another one that I would recommend. These are not 5-star reads for me, but these are all 4 and up. And then we have the His Dark Materials series by Philip Pullman, the first being The Golden Compass. This is a middle grade fantasy / sci-fi book I read as a teen, and I was obsessed with it like a younger teen. And my friends and I all made up our own daemons that we had, which if you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. Mine was a black leopard named Xanthi. I think one of my other girlfriends, theirs were Biscante and Silverin, I think were their names. I was 12 years old, guys, but I was obsessed with this series as a child. I think it's been made into movies now, and it's very, very popular. I haven't read it obviously recently, but I still feel comfortable recommending it. Once again, for the winter vibes. All of these books that I'm talking about scream winter to me. Then we have Let the Right One In by John Ajvide Lindqvist. And this is a horror, so changing up the genre a little bit, about a 12-year-old boy who meets a girl, and that girl is a vampire. It's chilling. It's also sweet in its way. Once again, I read this a very, very long time ago, but I still kind of remember that it was a good one and also had really good winter vibes. And then we have The Raven and the Reindeer by T. Kingfisher, which is another fantasy book. This one is based on the original fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen called The Snow Queen. This one has a sapphic twist going on with it, quite dark as well, but thoroughly enjoyed this one. And once again, it is steeped in the winter aesthetic and energy and setting. So those are just some books I've already read that have a very wintry theme. As you can see, they were mostly fantasy heavy. There was one horror in there. So I thought for this one, I want some fresh new recommendations, obviously, to be able to give to people if they want wintry books. So I thought I would read across as many different genres as possible and hopefully come away with at least some 3-star and up books that I can recommend to people going forward. I have already read some. So we started with The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Le Guin. Now, I have heard that she is a kind of queen legend of fantasy sci-fi books. I have never read any of her stuff. And I started with this one because it is very wintry. Basically, you have an ambassador who goes to a planet called Winter, which is an ice planet, to see if they want to join some intergalactic alliance. This planet in particular, all of its inhabitants are ambisexual. So they don't have the same gender binary that this ambassador is used to. Most of the time they are neutral. And then when they go into like their heat, they can choose which sex body they want to inhabit. And he's just having a very hard time grasping everything that's going on there. This is a book I read 50% of it. This is a book that very much is sort of focusing on the theme of gender. So it's a lot of like psychological discourse on it, little plot. The two main characters though, I did not like either of them. So I wasn't really gravitating towards the characters, and because there was little plot going on, I found this book, although brilliantly written, like the writing, I've got to applaud the author, is fantastic. The world building is well done, but there was, yeah, like I said, little plot. It was very much sort of an intellectual conversation going on about gender, and with characters I didn't enjoy. I found that my entertainment value was very low, and I knew that I would probably end up rating it low, because at the end of the day, I mostly read for entertainment. And even though it was thought-provoking, I didn't want to rate it low. So I did decide to DNF it. I think I will definitely try Ursula's other novels, because I do like her writing style. It's just this particular book wasn't doing anything for me. However, if you do want to read a book that, like I said, mostly focuses on the gender binary and the way it's like done. And this was a book that I think, how old is this? It won the award for Best Novel from the Nebula Awards in 1969. Very progressive for a book that was written back then. But like I said, this is hugely popular, but I didn't want to push through it. But if you've read Ursula's novels and you think that there's one of hers in particular that I should focus on reading next, do let me know. The next book I picked up is Winter in Sockcho. So this is by Elisa Shua Dusapin, translated by Anissa Abbas Higgins. So this is a translated litfic by a French-Korean author. So it's a seaside tourist town, Sockcho, and it's set in winter. They're off season, and it's about a local receptionist who is French-Korean, who meets a French comic book illustrator, author, and they take a quiet interest in each other. And this book does feel very quiet. It feels like winter in a seaside tourist town. It's very contemplative. It's got a melancholic feel to it. I think this was recommended for people who love convenience store women, and I could see why they would make that recommendation. It's a lot of themes of sort of loneliness and wanting to be seen. Very heavy with the wintry vibes in this one. There's a lot going on in the background. There's a mother-daughter relationship happening, a unfulfilling romantic relationship, her work life, this interest she takes in this comic book writer, figuring herself out. So a lot was going on, and I really actually enjoyed it. It was very calming, so it's a 3.5 star for me. And I didn't have the issue that I have with some translated. Like, for instance, I was a bit worried because Japanese translations don't work for me, but this one did. I still enjoyed the writing style in this. And this is, look, I'd say it's more vibes and musings and sort of the subtleties of being a human rather than something that's very plot driven. But I did enjoy my time with it. So yeah, Winter in Sockcho. Now, I've got a few books currently on the go. So audiobook-wise, I'm listening to Beartown by Frederick Buckman, which is about this small town, very winter. Once again, the winter is heavy here. And it's about sort of like a hockey team and sort of the dynamics and the culture within this small town. And at the moment, it's an audiobook. I'm not loving it. I'm finding it a bit hard to get into. I don't really care much for sports. But a lot of people had said in their reviews that even though they don't like sports, they still thoroughly enjoy this. And I know it's just been made into a TV series or a movie. And I did enjoy Frederick Buckman's other work that I read. So I'm going to persist and see if it starts to draw me in. At the moment, it's very meh. It's not bad. It's just, why should I care?
And why should I care?
Why should I care? So we'll see how we go with that one. I'm also got this going in book form. We've got The Christmas Wish by Lindsay Kelk. And this ends up being a bit of a Groundhog Day scenario. She repeats Christmas over and over. She's nursing a broken heart and she's gone home for the holidays to her family. I am only, how many pages? 36 pages in, so just started. It's heavy on the humor. So it's a very silly, jokey book so far. I don't mind the humor. So it's not having me guffawing, but I'm not finding it cringe. So every now and again, it'll get a chuckle out of me. A lot of pop culture references in this one, but I don't mind it. It's a bit campy. It's a bit over the top extra, but it's a contemporary romance, you know, so I'm expecting not a lot of seriousness from this one, just hopefully a good entertaining time. We've just literally gone through a scene where her dad gifted her a back massager and everybody's like, that's not for her back, bro. You just gave your daughter a vibe. He's refusing to accept that that is what the women use these magic wand back massagers for. There's a lot of, I will say that the word vagina has been used quite a lot in this so far, but otherwise I'm enjoying it, you know, so it's feeling like a 3.5 star, and I will continue on because of that. So that's what I've got on the go book-wise. In regards to ebook, I've got another translated book. This one is a thriller though, and it's called Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. Some of the covers in this are a little wild. I'll put some of them up there. It's not the one, obviously, the cover I have, but I believe this is also translated from Polish. It's set in a Polish village and someone turns up dead. So I haven't started it yet, but I've heard good things about it. And it's got a very interesting title. So we'll see also how wintry it is. I feel like it's supposed to be, but we shall see. So those are the 3 books I've currently got on the go. I just got a whole bunch, went to my library and just grabbed anything that looked wintry, and that was in a different genre because, like I said, I want to read across a whole range of genres for this particular video. I don't know how many days it's going to take me to complete, but I think there's like at least 12 books that I'm hoping to get through for this one and to wind up with a bit more of a broader winter book recommendation list going forward in the future. Should I ever go back to being a librarian, I'll have that. That'll come in handy. But besides that, I'm hoping to get out and about today. Maybe not though. I might end up just staying home. So we'll see how we go. But my kid's dad will be returning from their trip on Sunday. So I will finally get a Sunday and Monday to myself again. And for no doubt, I'll be reading a lot on those 2 days. So I'll touch back in once I've read some more. Okay guys, so I just finished The Christmas Wish. I'm giving it 3.5 stars. So that's what it felt like and that's what it was. Like I said, it was very humorous in tone, lots of pop culture references, relatable, it feels like the now. The Groundhog Day 2 wasn't repetitive, thank goodness. So basically, every day she would ask one of the members in her family, what's your Christmas wish? Believing that if she could make one of their Christmas wishes come true, then the day would stop. So she went through all of them naturally before getting to herself. There is a smidgen of romance in this. I wouldn't even call this a romance book. It's just women's fiction. Is that what you call it? Like just a very easy breezy litfic, you know, like a happy Christmas story, I guess. There's some kissing, not much, not very descriptive, but it's sweet, it's funny. I really don't like the sister though. She's a pill. She is not a nice person. But yeah, 3.5 star read, so easy to read, got through it really quickly and had a nice time. So I am going to pick up another book now, physical one, because I do my e-reader in bed and I do the audiobook whenever I am working. Okay, so I just read A Nature Poem for Every Winter Evening. This is a collection of mostly classical poems, so poems from the 16, 17 and 1800s. So I think Wordsworth, Dickinson, Keats, all that kind of thing. There, I'll show you the inside of the book so you can see what it's like. So you've got sort of these dark blue pages. There are sometimes illustrations, not often, and then it'll say the date. So, and then you've got, like I said, just a handful of illustrations in there. I wish that had been more illustrated. And sometimes the poems are just excerpts from longer poems, so it's not actually the whole poem, it's just a little bit that obviously they thought corresponded with the theme of winter. It's okay. I'm not a huge classical poetry kind of person. I do tend to like more modern stuff. So I was familiar with a lot of these. I think we all grow up on the, you know, the OGs from the day. There was some in here that I was not familiar with, obviously, at all. But yeah, they were fine. I was hoping there was, like I said, be a bit more of a wider variety, not just all the classicals, like something from like more stuff from the 1900s, the 2000s as well. But yeah, this is, if you prefer classic poetry, then you'll love this. If you want something that was more of a mix across the last couple hundred years, then you'll probably be a bit disappointed. It was fine. I didn't love it. So that's that book done, and I will see you the next time I've read something. Hey guys, I have read some more books that are winter themed. Let's get to it. So first up, we've got Blankets by Craig Thompson. So I'll just show you some of the illustration style. So this is an autobiographical graphic novel that's sort of like a coming of age about a teenage boy. I didn't get very far in this before I realized very quickly, this is not for me. I'm not the reader for this. It starts off with child abuse and sexual assault, and seeing it in picture form, not fun. There's a ton of horrible bullying and slurs in this as well. And then it gets very heavy into religion, Christianity in specifics. And I just know, it wasn't making me feel good and I wasn't enjoying it. So yeah, this is just a case of I'm not the reader for this particular novel. So I did DNF this one. Then I picked up Agatha Christie's Midwinter Murder. So this is a collection of short stories, and they are short, about murders. I've never read Agatha Christie before. If I'm basing it on this, I don't think she's an author for me. I didn't really love the writing style. It's meant to be set, all the stories set in winter, but honestly, they could have been set anywhere. And you've got like detectives talking about the time they got the murderer wrong, or another one is talking about how she felt she could have prevented a certain woman's murder. And it was just telling. That's all it was. This happened and this happened and then that happened and that happened, and then the story's over. So I didn't find it very enjoyable, and I did DNF it. I was listening to Beartown by Frederick Buckman. I just feel like, I'll get out the way so you can see blue. And this is a book that really delves into the complexities and intricacies of small town life and culture in a town that is basically known for being a hockey town in this very wintry, cold climate. And I could see that it was setting up quite in-depth character studies and weaving in their intersecting lives revolving around the sport. And I know that there's a twist later on, there's a violent event, and how does that impact the town and the people in it. But I could not listen to one more minute of hockey talk. I'm sorry, I just could not. And I know other people said they liked it in spite of that, but I can't stand it. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not anti-sports, but I just don't want to hear anything about it. So I couldn't push on, unfortunately, and I decided to DNF it. The next book that I picked up was Snowglobe by So Young Park, and this was translated from Korean, and it's a YA sort of dystopian sci-fi book in which the climate has gone to shit. It's basically become an ice planet. There are very few communities that are even able to survive anymore. You get frostbite, for instance, within minutes of being stuck outside. It's very sort of Hunger Games meets the Truman Show though, because they've erected this community called Snowglobe over what they say are geothermal springs, and it's domed so that it has a beautiful climate, and people there can eat things like strawberries and fruits because they can grow. And the only way to get in there is to become an actor. And so basically actors live in there, and they're videotaped 24/7. And those tapings are turned into TV shows that the rest of the world watches. And lo and behold, the main character gets a chance at living in the snow globe. But the snow globe is not what it appears to be. It was fine. It was a 3-star for me. Look, the writing was very simple, and I'm not sure if that's just because of the translation or not. The characters, I didn't connect to anyone in this book, not even the former actress whose show was killing people. She was literally just straight up murdering men, and then she got cancelled and was sent to the real world where people were also hating her because she was a murderess. No one. Didn't care about anybody. I think there was meant to be a romance in this, but I'm like, is this romantic? I don't. Are we meant to be shipping them? I don't know. I was left a bit like confused in that respect. The cover's cool, but I don't know, it all felt a bit silly to me, but it was 3 stars. It's not horrible, but this is nothing really appealing for my reading tastes in it. Oh, I've got to tighten that strap up. I also read Snowspelled by Stephanie Burgess. So this is sort of a Regency set fantasy in which the traditional gender roles have been swapped. So women run the state, and the men, if they're caught kissing the women, are compromised. It's up to the woman to do the right thing and marry them. And magic is commonplace, but it's normally only something that men possess. But then you have the main character, Cassandra, and she decided to become a magician. And she was fabulous, but then she attempted a spell that was beyond her capabilities and she's lost her magic. Hello, Bluebell. She was also previously engaged to another fantastic magician. However, she called off the engagement. So it starts off with her letting you know that she called off the engagement 2 months ago to try and protect him. So it's kind of a second chance romance, but it's not. You're pretty much coming in after the third act conflict. This is very fast paced because it's a novella. I did like the romance. It was cute, it was sweet. It's very PG, so this is very PG. It's all fade to black. There's just a little bit of kissing going on. There are Fae involved, so in this world, the Fae and the humans have a very fragile truce going on, and then supposedly the humans have done something wrong that might break this treaty between the two. I would say I've given this a 3 stars because it's very mild. Everything is just mild in this book, including the plot, including the tension and the conflict and the resolution and the romance. It's all just humdrum. It's nothing really intense. So I would say this is definitely what I would call a cozy fantasy if you want something that's quite low stakes, but fast paced, fairly easy to read, get straight on into it, and everything gets wrapped up kind of with a bow. Then this would be for you. But yeah, I just wanted something a bit more edge, a bit more sauce on it. Definitely more spice. The spicier the better. This is the only time in my life that I have a very high tolerance for spice, guys, and it's in books. Okay. In the real world, you put a lot of spice on my food, I'm probably going to start choking and my throat will close up. But in books, the more the better. But yes, that was a 3-star read for me. The next book I read though, Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. Oh, I hope that's pronouncing it right. This was fantastic. I gave this 4.5 stars. What would I call this? I would probably call this a noir thriller. This is translated from Polish, and my God, the writing was stunning. It was beautiful and eloquent and rich, and I'm thinking, this is the translated version. What is the original language like? Because this is spectacular writing. I really was blown away. But the plot of the story is you have an eccentric old woman who basically lives in this town that is, oh, the winter vibes in this were immaculate, by the way, immaculate. Lives in this very cold town, and she house sits all of these other people's summer homes. So basically they come in the summer to these places to relish in the beauty of this nature spot, but the rest of the year it is a dead town. Pretty much she has very few neighbors, one of whom turns up dead very quickly in the book. And no, she's eating this bag. She suspects that animals might be the cause of it because it is a hunter that has died, and she is definitely an advocate for the animals and is against the hunters. So there's a lot of hunting going on in this little village, and she believes the animals have had enough and are taking justice into their own hands. She's also very heavily into astrology and psychology. So that colors a lot of her inner dialogue. I really liked being in her head. I liked hearing her observations about things and her philosophizing and talking about, like I said, the human condition and themes like justice and morality. It was very engaging and thought-provoking. But basically a lot of deaths start occurring, so you've got that mystery element. And I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. I was pleasantly surprised. And the ending, look, she has some ride or die friends, and I'm very jealous of her cast of quirky companions. I loved it. It was heartbreaking too. Oh, when she talks about her daughters, oh, it's hard. So there's a lot of grief and anger in this one, but what a fantastic discovery. Very cool. So, and kudos to the translator. Like I said, I thought the translation was epic, so I can only imagine the original language it was written in. Oh, and the town itself is set in a Polish village on the border of the Czech Republic. So there's also a lot of talk about the differences between the Czech Republic and Poland. But yeah, out of all of the books I've read thus far for this winter vlog, my favorite, hands down. So I'm currently reading Elatsoe. I don't know how to pronounce this. I have a feeling that's probably not how you pronounce it, but I am enjoying it so far. It's by Darcy Little Badger, and the main character, I believe, is Indigenous. I think she's part of the Lipan Apache family, and she has an ability to raise the ghosts of dead animals. So she has a dead dog companion, which is adorable. I love it. And it's a skill that's passed down in her family. So obviously there is magic in this book. I'll see what it's classed as. So it is a fantasy YA, and it says it's queer as well, and a mystery because her cousin has just been murdered. But I really am enjoying it so far. I like the writing, I like the characters that I've been introduced to, and I'm very intrigued. It's very readable. I believe it's also illustrated as well. So this one also has a lot of promise. I feel like this might be a great book. The other books that I have picked for this vlog that I have yet to read, I may as well just let you know what's coming up, are Slow Productivity, which is a nonfic, because I felt like it's a wintry theme of slowing down. The Winter People, which is a thriller horror, I think. Migrations, which is a litfic, and Winter's Fury, which is I think it's a high fantasy. So today I am heading out to see my cousin, and I am probably hitting up an independent bookstore to pick a book for one of my upcoming Wild Ones book clubs, but I won't show that footage until as close to the Wild One Books Club. But the kids are going to their dad's after I've had them for 2 weeks, so I'm excited to have some mummy time, downtime, alone time to recharge my batteries. So yes, I'm going out today, and then I'll spend the rest of my time at home convalescing. But I will see you guys when I have read some more. Okay, let's talk about the rest of the books that I have read so far. So I finished Elatsoe, that's how you say it. I gave this 4.75 stars. This was fan-freaking-tastic. It's definitely more paranormal / urban fantasy, that's how I feel. And it was giving a little bit of Supernatural, the TV show. A lot darker than I was anticipating it would go, but I enjoyed the plot line and it was fascinating. So there's a lot of Indigenous folklore in here, which I also really enjoy. And elatsoe is a fantastic protagonist. I absolutely squealed for joy when I realized, when you're told that not only can elatsoe raise dead animals, that means all dead animals, including prehistoric ones. So she can get a little fossil and bring that creature back to life, but there's a ghost woolly mammoth in this. Like, how freaking cool is that? So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it was a fantastic YA book, and I would read more from this author again. The pacing was also spot on. Then I picked up Slow Productivity. Unfortunately, I did DNF this at 50%. The main key items, takeaways of this book are: do fewer things, work at a natural pace, and obsess over quality. However, the majority of the book is just a collection of stories from famous people and regular Joes about their life, how they work, and then the author will take whatever bit out of that proves their point or whatever it is that they were saying. I don't know, there was something that turned me off about it. I don't know if it's the tone or something. Like, they even mentioned always go pro, spend the money on complete programs rather than the free minimized apps. And I'm like, well, not everyone can afford to spend $40 a month on Adobe, my dude. But yeah, there was a bit of something about it that just was irking me. So I decided to DNF it at 50%. Beautiful girl. And then I read Migrations by Charlotte McConaughey. I've given this 4 stars. Oh, okay, so this is about a young woman who has a lot of issues, a lot of trauma. She's a wanderer. She has a husband. She is navigating and tracking the Arctic turns on their migration from the Arctic to Antarctica, and it's set in a not so distant future where a lot of the world's wildlife has died off. They're all extinct. So this is the last known Arctic terns in the world, and a lot of them believe that they're not even going to make the migration, because also the fish have all died out and there's just not enough to sustain them on their way. It was very heartbreaking in that I am a bird lover. And so reading about my poor little birdies struggling and not making it was, oh, it ripped my heart out. Like all of the Corvid family gone. And I'm like, no. The main character, Franny, she's not very likable. And as the book progressed, I had an inkling that by the end of it, I would hate her, and my theories were correct. I'm not going to say why I ended up hating her. If the end of the book hadn't turned out the way it did, if she had not done the things she had done, I would have absolutely eaten this book up. It would have probably been a 5-star because the writing was beautiful. I just really enjoyed the style of it. I liked the story, but in between, there is a thriller kind of mystery element woven in it, and you start to find out that Franny does have a dark past. Some stuff was done and it's given to you little by little, but when it's all elucidated, it is hard to stomach. It really is. And she causes a lot of damage to a lot of people. And I could not stand that about her. I was like, oh, could we have had any other main character, please? But the book itself was just, it was hauntingly heartbreaking because of the world it was set in, and the writing style was quite poignant and beautiful. There was like this quiet beauty to it. But yeah, Franny, I think any other protagonist would have made this a 5-star, but I don't know, I guess the appeal of the book too, other people might enjoy that mystery thriller aspect and the darker deeds, but I don't think it needed it to be a nice story. I would have been just content with tracking the birds and commenting about the state of the world and making some friends along the way. That would have been enough for me. But still, beautiful book, so 4 stars. Definitely had the winter vibes. They were on the sea at the time. And yeah, you get cold reading the book, so that was great for the winter vibes. Then I picked up Winter's Fury by A.E. Rain. First off, we're going to start with the fact that they're named Furic. When I read this word, my brain goes, that's fuck. It just does. It just thinks, oh, that's a typo someone's made. What they're trying to say is the F word. So every time I read it, that's what I heard in my head. But this is about a woman, a grown-ass woman who is a warrior. She was the daughter of a king. That king has died. And instead of giving her the crown, it went to his shitty brother. And the brother has decided to marry her off to some loser. And I'm not joking when I say loser. The love interest for her in this prince that she's betrothed to, you were told in great detail how much of a slovenly, drunken, gross man he is. Like you were introduced to him with him being asleep in a pool of his own piss and shit. And I'm like, oh, tell me things are going to get up from here. But no, things don't go up. You're just informed in incredible detail about his stench. And he's banging some other woman, and he is going to continue banging this other woman even after he marries our main protagonist. And the thing that irked me the most, so I did DNF this, the thing that irked me the most is that JL, the warrior woman, is told that she must marry this guy because only she can make him better. Excuse me? Are you telling me that this book is about a woman having a man-child project? No! She's got shit to do. That is like, what? Are you? No, they're for real. They are for real. She's just been reduced to fixing hopeless men. And I'm like, that is very depressing. She also had another lover before this that she'd been with for 12 years. And so I'm like, who's rooting for this? She's having to leave this person that she's in love with to go marry this gross man, and we're supposed to root for that? I don't know. It's not her equal in any way. And I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand that this was the premise of the book. The biggest issue too in this story is that there's multiple POVs and it changes POV mid-page, like from paragraph to paragraph. It'll be this person and the next paragraph is another person and then the next paragraph is another person. And I have never read that in a book before, and I would hope never to again. It was incredibly jarring and confusing, and there was no purpose for it. There was no point to it. You didn't need to jump POVs multiple times on the same page. But I gave it a solid 150 pages because this is a 700 plus page book. And it's very much just not for me. I like my women badass, and I don't want them to be babysitting and attempting to improve shitty men. So I DNF'd that one too. With the winter vibes, yeah, it's got them. They're in there. And that brings me to the last book I need to read for this vlog, which is Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. It says that in 1908, a woman was found dead just months after the death of her daughter. And then it fast forwards to present day, where you've got a woman whose mother has just suddenly vanished. And while searching for her mother, Ruthie, the daughter, finds a copy of the previously deceased mother's diary in her mother's room. So there's some sort of mystery going on. It's supposed to be a horror slash thriller slash historical fiction. So the cover is giving winter vibes. It's literally called Winter People. So I'm sure this will deliver on the winter theme, but that is the final book that I'm going to read for this themed vlog. And then I will sum up all the books that I picked. Good morning, guys. So I finished Winter People yesterday. I've given it 4 stars. I would say it is definitely a horror. It was giving White Walkers very heavily, but I would say even more than that, it's a mystery. And it is one that spans multiple generations. So you're going back and forth in time through multiple POVs to try and piece everything together. How does this connect to that? How does this person fit in? What's going on? I thought it was pretty good. I liked the writing style, the setting in a creepy house by some creepy woods in awful caves worked, you know, scratching at the closet door, things like that really creeped me out. I did have to read another book before bed, otherwise I probably would have dwelled on it too much. But I'd say it's not like intense horror. I could stomach it and I'm a wuss. But I did enjoy it. And I did think it suited the winter vibes really, really well. Oh, if you've got a thing against like creepy children, don't read this. But otherwise, yeah, I actually found it really good. So let me go through all the books that I wascally wabbit, that I read for this winter vlog. So this is not in the order I read them, it's just how I wrote them down. So we've got Slow Productivity, which was a nonfic about doing less but doing it well. I DNF that one. We had Winter People, which was a 4 stars and a horror, enjoyed that. Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, that's a noir mystery thriller. I gave that 4.5 stars. Thoroughly enjoyed that one. Migrations, 4 star. So that is also a sort of litfic thriller. I would have preferred, well, not thriller, is it thriller? More mystery, I don't know. It does involve murder, so maybe it is thriller. I would have loved that had the main character not been an awful person doing awful things, because I did really, really, really enjoy the writing style. Winter in Sockcho, that was a 3.5 stars. That was a litfic, I think the original language was Korean, about an off-season tourist town in winter. It had nice, quiet vibes. Midwinter Murders, I think this was a collection of short mysteries by Agatha Christie, and I DNF'd it. It wasn't my jam at all. Snowglobe, which was, I think, also Korean translated. This was a YA sort of dystopian book, which was very Hunger Game meets The Truman Show, set in a climate-affected future in which the world becomes basically an ice planet. That was 3 stars. The Left Hand of Darkness, I did DNF this. So this was a sci-fi. It was interesting, but it was too much just based on the gender narrative. There was nothing else really going on, and I want a bit of action. And I also just didn't care for the main 2 characters. But I will check out more of Ursula K. Le Guin's writing because I did like her writing. We had Christmas Wish. I can't talk to, I'm exhausted, guys. 3.5 stars. This is a rom-com in which a lady has a Groundhog Day situation at Christmas. It was cute, it was fun and entertaining. We had Beartown by Frederick Buckman, and my cats are going to the bathroom, of course they are. And that was a DNF for me. It was too much hockey talk. Blankets, which was a snow, oh my god. She's very fastidious with the digging first. She'll wipe her hands later, you'll hear that scratch. I DNF this very quickly. I'm not the reader for this. It opens up with like child abuse, sexual abuse and assault and bullying and slurs and religious talk. So wasn't for me. That was a graphic novel in case I didn't say it. Snowspelled, which was a Regency era fantasy where the gender roles are reversed and there is magic and trolls and fae, and it was fine. It was just very humdrum. I would call it a cozy fantasy if you don't want a lot of stakes in it and you only like very mild PG rated romance, then I would recommend that one. That was a 3 stars. Winter's Fury, which was a massive 700 plus page fantasy, epic fantasy book. I did DNF because I'm not going to read about a kick-ass warrior woman having to fix up a piece of shit man. That's her job now. No. And then a nature poem for every winter evening, which was a book of poems featuring winter as the star of it. The best one was Elatsoe, which was 4.75 stars. And this was a YA paranormal urban fantasy with an indigenous main character who has magic, so there is magic. Hers is being able to raise the ghosts of dead animals, including prehistoric ones. And there is something going on in the town. It was giving supernatural vibes. I loved that one. So that one was the absolute star of this vlog and a new favorite. So that was everything for this vlog. Until next time, stay wild, star child.